Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, plans are underway to make healthy foods more affordable.
Plus, the lights still out for Grand Bahamas schools. We've got the latest.
Bahamas tonight, it's Regional HIV Testing Day. Find out why you should know your status.
And bowling by the beach closes out. The Bahamas tonight starts now.
Now in HD. Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The longest-serving Attorney General, not only in the Bahamas, but the region, is honored. Good evening and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight. I'm Andrew Knowles.
I'm Kish Latterly. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, Paul Adderley was the longest-serving Attorney General in the English-speaking Caribbean of the 20th century. And now the ministry he once led will honor his legacy by bearing his name on its new state-of-the-art building. Today, the ranks of the government and civil service turned out to witness the momentous unveiling of the newly named Paul L. Adderley Building, which houses the Attorney General's Office and Ministry of Legal Affairs. And as Clint Watson tells us, Paul Adderley was hailed as an attorney of the highest order and a statesman.
Paul Adderley's rich legacy won't easily be forgotten, and neither will his 84 years on this earth. In fact, though separated by death, his name now joins a career that earned him a spot in history. Family members, colleagues, those mentored by him, and those who followed his life stood with great satisfaction on their faces as the draped overpass of the newly constructed Attorney General's Office and Ministry of Legal Affairs unveiled the name Paul L. Adderley Building. Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson called Adderley the quintessential Attorney General.
We pledge daily to work with the same spirit of excellence and to strive daily to evince that we believe the freedom of the people of this family of islands will be preserved by self-discipline, industry, loyalty, unity, and an abiding respect for the rule of law.
Labeled a legal scholar, ranking among the finest lawyers in the field and championing the people's cause, Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie called Adderley one of his trusted advisors. The Prime Minister says the name Paul Adderley should be etched in history with the greats who fought for freedom, truth, and justice for all.
He fought without requiring honor or recognition, steadfastly refusing to be knighted by the Queen and called Sir. He governed himself by his own standards, but today he's being posthumously honored by the people of the Bahamas for his stellar work, his tenacity, his endurance, and strength of character.
Mr. Christie believes this honor is one of the greatest ways to remember Paul Adderley. He charged the occupants of the building to exemplify the qualities Mr. Adderley was known for.
May Paul's drive for excellence, his thirst for knowledge, his devotion to duty, be a part of the pervasive spirit that propels all that is accomplished in this building. It is entirely fitting that this posthumous honor be bestowed upon one so great and yet so humble.
For his family, this ceremony honors more than Mr. Adderley's long tenure. It is an affirmation of how he conducted himself in this office.
And after spending decades in the post office building under what some call strenuous conditions, staff here at the Attorney General's Office and Ministry of Legal Affairs said they welcome the move and they're enjoying their new home here in the Paul L. Adderley Building. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
Well-known attorney Jeffrey Farquharson spent the night at Her Majesty's prison, the first day of a 14-day sentence for contempt of court. Justice Bernard Turner handed down the sentence. Now, Farquharson had the option of paying a $2,000 fine within 20 days, but failed to meet that commitment.
The Royal Bahamas Defense Force apprehended 102 Haitian migrants last evening while on routine patrol in the central Bahamas. The sailing sloop was intercepted off Hawksville Rock, southwest of Great Exuma by Defense Force Patrol Craft P-44 under the command of Acting Sub-Lieutenant Dwight Storr. A search of the vessel resulted in the apprehension of the undocumented Haitian nationals consisting of 82 males and 20 females. The migrants were taken into custody and transported to Coral Harbor Base. Nearly all government schools on Grand Bahama were still without electricity today after the Ministry of Education failed to pay the outstanding bill.
Well, tonight, Cleopatra Murphy tells us that education officials say the bill has been settled, and although the situation is unfortunate, power will soon be restored to those schools affected.
For the third day, public schools across Grand Bahama were without electricity, despite confirmation from education officials that the bill was settled. Education Minister Jerome Fitzgerald called it unfortunate, especially since it affects children and the educational system. He was especially not happy with the move, saying government has an ongoing dialogue with the Grand Bahama Power Company and it never wants to create tension between itself and the private sector. ZNS News talked with the education director, Lionel Sands, who said power to one of the schools was restored yesterday, and the others were expected to be reconnected by the end of the day.
The expectation is that all schools should get electricity returned to normalcy by today. That is the undertaking that Ministry of Finance has been given by Freeport Power after they settled the matter yesterday evening late.
Thursday was National Report Card Day, but Sands says there was minimal impact as most report cards were already completed and the district office assisted by producing the ones that were outstanding. Although the situation was an inconvenience for teachers who braved the heat, the education director maintains he never received a bill from the power company and is unaware of its size.
When the bills are ready, they're submitted to our office for payment. I've never received any bills from Freeport Power. So because I've never received any bills from Freeport Power, then I wouldn't know when the bills are due or not.
Bahamas Union of Teachers Area Vice President for Grand Bahama, Quentin LaRota, says meters were removed from 2 schools and expressed his disappointment in Freeport Power Company. He says it could have been disastrous had it occurred during school examinations.
Freeport Power is being tight-lipped about the situations, but one has to ask the question, couldn't the power be turned off on Monday after school had closed? I guess a point had to be made.
He says teachers, however, should be commended for their dedication given the circumstances.
I'm happy that at the very least they were able to accomplish the report card day with discomfort and having to go beyond the call of duty.
Sands says he hopes not to see a repeat of the debacle, adding that as of July 1st, the Ministry of Finance will assume the responsibility of paying the utility bills of all government ministries. Cleopatra Murphy, ZNS Network News.
As the government prepares for a national health scheme, recommendations are being offered by health stakeholders on how non-communicable diseases can be prevented. A major aspect of that is, of course, healthy eating.
But with food costs on the rise, more and more consumers are finding it difficult to eat healthy and stay on the right track. Genea and Noel-Ferguson discussed the issue with consumers and leading medical professionals on the way forward.
Let's face it, the cost to eat healthy is expensive. When you look at 2 bags of chips for 99 cents when compared to 1 orange for 69 cents. Many consumers fear that with the implementation of a value-added tax, the cost of eating healthy will only increase.
Right now, it's still costly. For a family of 3 or a family of 2, just to buy the vegetables, you run into over $100. So by the time you go to look for a piece of meat, you might only can buy maybe a pack of chicken, and that's it.
It does cost more to eat healthy, but when that comes into the effect, it make it less affordable.
The price of healthy foods was extremely high, and now with them adding the VAT tax, it's really going to cost a lot of Bahamians to struggle a little bit, especially the lower class.
Now, while the cost of healthy foods might be more now, Deputy Chief Medical Officer Dr. Delon Brennen says he's recommending to the government to increase imports on foods that are unhealthy while decreasing the imports on foods that are more healthy for you.
So if you don't bring in high sugar foods or high salt foods, things are high in fat. If you make it such that you have car-free days, car-free Sundays, make community physical activity something that's easier for people to access, then it isn't that they have to think about it or you have to necessarily pay differently for it. We make it easier to do. So the cheaper thing in either the grocery store, in your convenience store, would actually be the healthier choice. What we're hoping to do through the National Health Insurance or a movement toward universal health care in the Bahamas is actually being able to affect change across the entire sector. So not purely in delivery of health care, but also moving the entire nation toward a point where we consider health in all of our policies.
PAHO Representative Dr. Gerry Eijkemans also argued that government must make it harder to access unhealthy foods.
That no, you cannot forbid people to come with their cars and to sell their fries and fried chicken and whatever close to the school. Of course you can. Look at the private schools. Are there any of those trucks about? No.
And consumers are welcoming that suggestion.
And things are more expensive. But then we as Bahamians have choices to make. What is important to us in terms of where we're going to spend our money, and some things are more important than others. Healthy eating and those kind of things are more important than buying a new phone and getting your hair done.
Lowering the cost of fruits and things, vegetables will be fine for everybody. Keep the people more healthier and live more longer, like me, 73.
Genea Noel-Ferguson, ZNS Network News.
Well, still to come tonight, find out why these workers were protesting today.
And today is HIV testing day. Find out what happened today in the city for it. You're watching the Bahamas Tonight.
This segment of the news is brought to you by Shell Quality Fuels.